So today I'm going to show you how to make the Mandalorian's rifle, and this thing is so big it's hard to get it all in one shot. So you want to start by getting yourself some cardboard, and then trace the prongs onto it. You can either draw these freehand, or I do have a template you can use. You just want to cut those out. You'll do 2 of them, and hot glue the 2 of them together. So you get a thicker piece of cardboard. And then you want to take some strips of paper, just put a little hot glue on the sides of the cardboard and put the paper over it, and that will cover up the corrugated part of the cardboard. So go all the way around it, and then cut off the strips of paper so they're the same height as the cardboard so that it has nice smooth edges all the way around. Then take a wrapping paper roll and cut it up the center. And then you'll just squish it into itself to make a smaller wrapping paper roll, about 1 inch in diameter, maybe a little bit larger. And just hot glue it in place. And then cut out 2 long rounded rectangles. You'll glue those onto either side of the prongs. And then you want them to be wide enough so that they fit tightly around your wrapping paper roll. So when you slide a wrapping paper roll over them, they're nice and tight. So then take some, I use brown packing paper, but any paper will do. Roll it around some glue sticks or a pencil to get a nice thin roll and glue it in place so that it stays rolled. Then take some 2mm craft foam, take a strip and wrap that around the wrapping paper roll. And then take a second one down a little farther, and then cut a circle of 5mm craft foam. That should be small enough to go in the end of your paper roll. Just glue that in place. And then cut out the almost triangular shape. Glue that onto the bottom of the second strip you put around the wrapping paper roll. I'm using hot glue, but you can use any glue that you prefer. Then put a little bit of glue on the end of that piece of craft foam that you shoved into the paper roll. You're just going to glue the paper roll to that 5mm craft foam piece that you just glued on. So then take a larger wrapping paper roll and put some craft foam strips in either end, just some thin strips. And then you'll just glue those right around the wrapping paper roll so that it sticks out a little bit, gives it some dimension. Then cut a couple squares of 5mm foam. And you'll just stick those, glue those in different places to hold on the smaller bar. And then take some long thin strips. You're going to go right around both tubes and those little craft foam squares. So then cut 2 circles out of 5mm craft foam, stick one in the wrapping paper roll and one in the paper roll. And then cut the stock out of some cardboard. You want to cut 4 pieces. The center 2 will be a little bit smaller than the outside 2, about 1 inch smaller. You'll glue all 4 of those together, with the long ones being on the outside, so you get a nice little gap in the center there. And then cut out the action area pieces. So you have 4 long ones and 2 1 inch shorter than the other 4. So you'll do a long one and a short one, 2 long ones, another short one, and then another long one to finish it out. Glue those all together. And then you'll be able to stick the 2 pieces sticking out of the stock, stick those right into the gaps in the action area. Hot glue that whole thing together. It'll be nice and sturdy then. So then put a little bit of glue on the end of your paper and wrapping paper tubes. You'll glue those right onto the edge of the action area. Keep everything nice and sturdy. So then cut a rectangular piece of craft foam with a smaller rectangle sticking out. You'll glue that around the edge so that the tubes stay stuck to the action area. It'll help stabilize it. So here's what you should have so far. Starting to look like a rifle. So then you want to put paper all the way around the action area and the stock, just like I did with the prongs. So once again, it gives you the nice smooth edges. So then take a very small wrapping paper tube, wrap a couple pieces of foam around the end. This is going to be the scope. Then wrap a larger piece around the middle and glue it just a little bit under the tube itself, but leave the ends open so that you can put some more glue on those. And glue them right around the wrapping paper roll, which is now the barrel of our rifle. So then take another piece of craft foam and wrap that around the end of the scope, glue that onto the action area, and take a couple of scrapbooking brads and poke those into the corners of a piece of craft foam, cut like this. And then hot glue some metal photo corners on there, stick some more brads in some more pieces of craft foam, and then you're just gonna stick those on different places on the action area. This pretty much looks nothing like his real gun, but I was just throwing stuff on here haphazardly just to kind of make it look like it had a bunch of different textures and dimensions and stuff. So you can do this part however you want. Doesn't have to look exactly like mine because mine does not actually look like Manddo's real gun. So just kind of throw these on however you want. This part was the closest one that I actually kind of copied from the gun. Just glue those all on. And then I also took some thumbtacks and I glued a few in different places. And then I used some hook and eye loop closures, glued those on. Any random junk will do. So then out of 5mm craft foam, I cut the trigger pieces and just hot glued those on. So then you want to coat the entire thing in a couple coats of Elmer's glue, or white school glue, and then paint the parts silver that need to be silver, so the scope and the action area and the prongs and different areas. Just look at a few pictures. So then down on the prongs, I painted some metallic purple paint, and while that was still wet, painted some blue metallic paint over it, and while that was still wet, painted a washed out version of silver over it to kind of give it the heat marks. So then I painted most of the barrel black. As you can see the different parts on it here. Little pieces on the scope too. Then to make the stock look like wood, you want to run some lines of thick black paint. Thick meaning high, not necessarily wide lines, but high. You don't want to smooth it in. And then paint over it with brown while they're still wet. And that will kind of drag the black to make it look like, almost like wood grain. Still cardboard, but as good as you're going to get wood grain to look. Then I did the same thing on the little wrapping paper roll that I stuck there. And then painted the pieces that hold the scope on gold. And so we'll test this out in a minute, but here is what the rifle looks like at the moment. It's hard to get it all in one shot, so here's kind of a close-up of it. And the silver paint makes the scrapbooking brads look like, metal nails or something. And so now let's give it a try. Anybody want some Java juice?